This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one. Mm, yeah.
Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network on this Wednesday night. What a big night we have for you tonight. You know, it's one of those. First of all, let's welcome Chris Bergen back from his extended
Hey,
weekend. How are you?
I'm well, guys. How about
You
you?
rested? You tanned? You ready to go?
Well, if I could get a suntan inside the house, yeah, I'm raring to go, though. It was nice to have a couple of days off and sort of decompress right before basketball season starts in 2 weeks from last night. Or actually Monday night, I should say. So I figured I'd take a few days and get some stuff done, and I did. Now I'm raring to chat with you folks for the next couple of hours.
Got the batteries recharged and the eyes cleared up as far as just being cloudy from everything going on with football, clear-eyed for basketball. But you got some football left to be done.
I do indeed. Matter of fact, we'll be headed up to Huntington, West Virginia on Friday. Never been up to Marshall, so looking forward to that road trip. First time ever, as a matter of fact, for Coastal and Marshall in football.
What's your travel plans for that since it's the first time?
Leaving at about 5 o'clock out of Myrtle Beach. So I asked Jamie Chadwell during his press conference today if he had plans to take the team. I thought it'd be an interesting trip for them because that plane crash that killed virtually the entire Marshall team and several of its support staff occurred back in 1970. So none of the players was even alive at that time. So I thought it might be interesting if they went to the memorial, and they'd have plenty of time on Saturday with the game not kicking off until 7. Coach was non-committal on that, said they've discussed it but have not made any definitive plans. So I'm not sure, but it's either that or lie around the hotel all day, which no one wants to do.
You think they'll show the movie, Marshall?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a motivating movie though? That's about as depressing a sports movie. I understand. It's on you would think maybe instead of We Are Marshall, you go, if you're going to use sports movies to inspire, you go Remember the Titans, Rudy, those type movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be curious, especially considering they have no point of reference with Marshall. So it'd be an interesting game and a really good defense they're going to see on Saturday, one of the top defenses in the country.
All right. Well, tonight we welcome back Chris, and we say thank God, hallelujah. We say goodbye to the of. The of is gone. Not long live the of. The of is dead. USC announced today, no forewarning on this. This kind of came out of the blue. No longer will it be U of SC. The new president, I think some board members, obviously listeners to Sports Talk, because they know we have railed against that since day one. There's been no topic to me more that sticks in my craw more than that when they announced that it would be U of SC for a variety of reasons. And I'm glad that the new president and members of the board, whoever they happen to be, I salute you. You used common sense. You must have listened to alums who said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Who are you listening to? Who'd you pay thousands of dollars to give you that advice, and you followed it? I mean, what company, what research group, who did you follow to lead you down that rabbit hole? So no more of, and on top of that, they've come out with a new, what they call the Spirit trademark with the USC, and underneath it's 1801 for the year the university started. I think it looks great. I think it says what USC is. And people always want to say, well, when I hear USC, I think of Southern Cal. Don't give a damn.
Good for you.
Don't give a damn. Don't give a damn. You can think of whatever you want. But to people who grew up in this state, and either went to South Carolina or Clemson or somewhere else. USC is South Carolina, should have been, has always been, and will ever be that. And I think that's great for the University of South Carolina to finally come to its senses and, quit playing. I don't know what it was they were trying to do. I mean, trying to just appeal to, I don't know who. Who are you appealing to with that when, facts be told, University of South Carolina was established years before the University of Southern Cal. The only reason Southern Cal is known as USC by folks nationally is because of their great football success. That's it. And because all the television networks, networks. But if you're USC and you got leadership over there and you work with your so-called television partners, they call them our television partners when they make you play games in September when it's 100 degrees at noon. And when they move your schedule all around, whatever, you work with your partners. Well, tell your partners that you are to be referred to as USC. They don't like it, then you don't give them access. And they say, well, we're not going to pay you. I mean, I don't know how you work around that. But you just tell them, you put your foot down and say, this is what we are. We're USC, we're South Carolina, we're Gamecocks, whatever the case may be. I don't even like it when they put up their S. Carolina. I've always called them USC, even during this period when they enforced the U of SC title on their university literature. And I think some people in the sports world in covering them referred to them as U of SC. Not here, not me, no time, nowhere, never. So I'm glad that is behind the University of South Carolina. I think it's a great move. That can now be buried forever, and they can get back to what they have been for well over 200 years. So that is that.
The next thing,
mm-hmm.
And I've got a point I wanted to add on that, and Carolina fans are not going to like hearing this, but when you think of Clemson, the immediate iconic image comes to you as the tiger paw, whether it be the university, the academic side, or the athletic side. Carolina's got so many different logos. And first off, what's wrong with the Block C with the rooster? I've always thought that was really, really well done. I thought they could make that into an iconic logo, much like the tiger paw. And you wouldn't have to go through this litany of different things. I mean, but the athletic department has two different logos. The one that baseball uses with the interlocking SC, and then the one that everybody else uses with the Block C and the rooster. And now you have to come out with another one for the university with a direct shot. It's obvious, a direct shot at the University of Southern California when you put the year of the founding of the school. I just don't understand why Carolina won't go and just say, look, this is our logo, the Block C with the rooster. That's what the athletic department uses. That's what we're going to use as well on the university side to market what we do, much like Clemson does.
Well, Clemson hit on who knew that the tiger paw would become such an identifiable emblem for Clemson. Now, it helps, of course, that they've been very successful on the gridiron during this, over the last 10, 15 years. And then, of course, back in the 80s with Danny Ford. I mean, when they were Frank Howard, they just were Clemson, and they had a C on the helmet, and they were just Clemson. But they're now known nationwide by the tiger paw, and they've done a fantastic job of marketing just that, the tiger paw. The tiger paw is on everything that they have. Clemson is spelled with a tiger paw, and everywhere around campus, a tiger paw here, a tiger paw there. And I think you're exactly right about the Block C with the Gamecock in the middle of it. In fact, my opinion is, and I'm not into helmets, how they look, and uniforms and how they look, but I thought they had no better looking helmet than the George Rogers era helmet with the big Block C. It was the ones when Holtz came on board, I think they changed it to the smaller Block C. And personally, I like the big Block C, and I like I think that was a 3-stripe helmet, 2 black and 1 garnet. I thought that was in a white background. I thought that was a very good looking helmet. Correct. And the stars on it too. The stars on it too. That, to me, that was their best looking helmet. The smaller block I think it gets lost, in a stadium the sizes that they play in. But anyhow, I just think it was a good move today announced by the university. And I'm like, yeah, nice job, South Carolina. Way to get it done. And I think this new president must get it. course, anytime you agree with somebody, you think they must get it. But I think this new president must get it, and I applaud him and those who were involved in that decision. So we're going to run to a quick break because coming up after the break, we're going to be joined by Coach Shell Dula, the Hall of Fame coach, the executive director of the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. Tonight is the reveal night here on Sports Talk of the 7 finalists for the 2022 Mr. Football Award in South Carolina. And we will wait for the coach to join us, and we will identify who they are. It's a terrific group, and they're not only good football players, they're very good academically, and they're involved in their community as well. Of course, last year's winner, Jalen Sneed, the linebacker out of Hilton Head. You go back to 1995, the initial winner, Jamel Kelly, wide receiver from Berea, and here we are now into 2022. So after the break, we'll hear from Shell Dula at 6:35, Chalk Talk. Corey Miller early this week at 7:05, and we'll be back.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
All right, we'll get the phone calls a little bit later on. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Since 2002, more than $160 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund SC Hope scholarships for the state's college-bound students. Learn more about the lottery's impact at scheducationlottery.com/educationwins. And playing for fun is a win for education. We come to you from the Dave and Buster studio here in Columbia. Eat, drink, play, catch all the big games all season long at Dave and Buster's, located in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach. It's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure, a thrill, an honor to welcome into Sports Talk the Hall of Fame coach, the executive director, South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association, the Honorable Shell Dula. Good evening, Coach. How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much. I appreciate those kind words.
Have you ever had a better lead-in?
No, I think that's good. That's the best ever. Thanks a lot.
It is great to have you with us because when you're with us, that means there's always something good to talk about in high school football in South Carolina. And tonight, it's the annual unveil here on Sports Talk of the finalists for Mr. Football in South Carolina. We got 7 guys on the list. It must have been tough to get it down because you got 7. That's a pretty good number this year on the list. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you announce who the 7 finalists are, sir.
Okay, Phil, thank you very much. And first of all, thank you for all that you do for high school athletics in our state as well as the college level. But, you know, we really appreciate all that you do for our high schools and especially for our football program and the North-South game and various things that you're involved in. Also, I want to thank our coaches for submitting nominees for this prestigious position. It was very difficult. We have a lot of really good football players in South Carolina, and we had a lot of really good football players nominated for this, and our committee anguished and worked hard and did a great job, and we did narrow it down to 7. So we have 7 finalists for Mr. Football, and of course the winner will be announced at the halftime of the Touchstone Energy Cooperative's North-South football game on December the 10th in Myrtle Beach. But without any further ado, let me name for you the 7 finalists, and we do this in alphabetical order. First of all, Jarvis Green, a running back from Dutch Fork High School. Second, Bryson James, a linebacker and running back from Clinton High School. Raheem Jeter, quarterback, Spartanburg High School. Xavier McLeod, defensive lineman, Camden High School. Jonah Norris, running back, Lexington High School. Lenoris Sellers, quarterback, South Florence High School. And Tyler Smith, running back from Barnwell High School.
Well, congratulations to those 7. Jarvis Green, Bryson James, Raheem Jeter, Xavier McLeod, Jonah Norris, Lenoris Sellers, and Tyler Smith. The winner will be announced at halftime of the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. That'll be on December 10th. You can hear the game on our network here, Sports Talk Media Network. So what were some of the things that kind of ran through these 7 that was sort of a common denominator that the coaches, that the committee, those who elected, what did they find?
Well, I think, first of all, they're all 7 outstanding football players. And we had several outstanding football players that were nominated, but these 7 certainly fill that situation. All of them are on very good football teams. I mean, you've got some of the better football teams in our state represented. All of them are very active in their schools. They're very active, whether it be in the student council or various clubs, various organizations, and they're all very active in their community, their church, working with younger children in elementary schools, and we could go on and on. So they encompass, as others, but they encompass the best of the best when you think about their athletic ability, their involvement, their willingness to go the extra mile, the impression and the various positive things that they bring to their football team, which again is shown in their record. So, we feel like they sort of touch all the bases.
And now the real work begins, because now you got to get to 1.
Well, you're absolutely right.
What's the process for the committee, I guess, over the next 5-6 weeks or so?
Well, again, it's going to be a matter of just having to take a look at these, to continue to see how the season plays out, but just to make a very difficult decision. But it's hard enough to get. It's hard to get to the finalists. It really is, and our committee spent an extensive amount of time working on this, and we have a great committee. And we're not going to, let everybody know who that committee is, because sometimes it's best to just keep that among ourselves. But they are a committee of former coaches, all involved, and they work tremendously hard, and so we've got it down to these finalists, and then we'll have to come together and come up with that one Mr. Football, and that will be even harder, because you could give an argument for all 7 of these being the Mr. Football. So they're all very good, and it's just going to be a situation where we're going to have to work hard at it. We've been real pleased in watching some of the college football that's going on now. We see several of our former Mr. Football is really having good years and contributing to the success of their college teams, and that always makes us feel good.
Sure.
Shell Dula, the executive director of the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association, with us here tonight to announce the 7 finalists for Mr. Football in South Carolina. That award will be handed out at halftime of the upcoming Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl on December the 10th down in Myrtle Beach. And Coach, I'm curious, when you guys now take the 7 finalists and try and measure and compare what they do, how do you take a player like Xavier McLeod, for instance, who mostly is a defensive player, and compare what he has done at Camden versus what, say, a Jarvis Green running back at Dutch Fork or a Lenora Sellers at South Florence has done, because they mostly play on the offensive side of the coin?
Well, of course, again, you look at the impact that they have on the game. I think that's a key thing, is and you can have a great impact offensively and you can have a great impact defensively. So you try to take a look and see and how they affect the outcome of games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the key things. You have quarterbacks, we have running backs, we have quarterbacks, we have defensive linemen, we have a linebacker. And like I said, you can look on here and we've got, I think it's 3 of these young men participate on teams that are right now still undefeated. And some of the others are on teams that are tremendously good, played a really tough schedule, may not be undefeated, but are very, very good. And then maybe 1 or 2 losses, been in the state championships. They're all winners, and so they all affect the game in various ways. And so I think you have to take a look at that. The other thing that we're really proud of, we didn't go in trying to do this, but it just happened to work out. And I think that we just realized it afterwards. We've got a 2A player, we've got a 3A player, we've got a 4A player, and we've got several 5A players. So, I mean, we've got every classification except 1A, and really there were no nominations from a 1A school. So we've got everyone, we've got those 4 of the 5 classifications represented, and I think that's very positive.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, we've got about a minute or 2 left, and if you can't explain, if I wanted to nominate Phil Kornblut to be Mr. Football in South Carolina, what would I have to do to get him on the nomination? What is sort of the criteria that you use to get to the 7 finalists for Mr. Football?
Well, I think my athletic reputation speaks for itself, but go ahead, Coach.
It speaks for itself. That's correct. Well, first of all, they must be nominated by their head coach. And we have a letter from the head coach, but there must be a nomination. Then we also require a letter from a teacher who is not a coach. And again, character, classroom, because again, we want to honor outstanding football players, but we also want to honor an outstanding person, someone that's able to do the best they can in the classroom. And that doesn't necessarily mean straight A's, but they work in the classroom just like they work on the athletic field, and then we get a sense of their involvement. So when we talk about requirements, those are the 2 requirements: the letter from the head coach, a letter from a teacher who is not a coach. But then we have stats that come in. We have letters from principals that are sometimes part of the package. We may have letters from 2 teachers. Various schools do it in different ways, but the main criteria to be considered is nominated by the head coach, and because again, the head coach then will nominate people that they feel like are deserving. So nomination from the head coach and a letter of reference from another teacher within the school that they've had either this year or it could have been a past year that's not a coach. So you get both are 2 different perspectives of the individual.
Coach, as always, great having you with us. Great having the nominations for Mr. Football here on Sports Talk. I know we'll see a lot between now and the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl in the December, championship games and everything else, maybe some banquets and stuff like that. So we wish you well. And it's always great having you with us, and we appreciate you very much. Thanks for joining us.
Phil, thank you so much. And again, thanks for all you do. And Mary and I look forward to seeing you and spending time together in Myrtle Beach and maybe hopefully before that. So you take care, and that athletic ability, I'll spread that word to everybody.
Won't take long.
Thanks, Coach.
Talk about it. Thank you, Coach. And we'll be back. We got Chalk Talk after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your Wednesday afternoon forecast. Today gets nicer and nicer as the early morning showers and clouds clear out. We'll get sunshine and a high temp of 79 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 51. Tomorrow, gorgeous again, sunny skies at a high of 74. For the weekend, more clouds than sun on Saturday and rain likely on Sunday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hi, I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and I've got a great gift idea that requires zero shopping, the gift of college savings. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan makes it easy. Grandparents, friends, and family can all contribute to a Future Scholar account and know that they're providing a gift that will last a lifetime. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, look no further. Learn more about the smart, easy way to save and give this holiday season at futurescholar.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting a new sense of uncertainty in Democrats has risen over Pennsylvania's pivotal Senate contest. Democrats are struggling to remain optimistic after John Fetterman's candidacy after a rocky debate performance. Fetterman took the debate stage Tuesday, 5 months after suffering a stroke. He struggled to complete sentences and he jumbled words throughout the hour-long event. A second railroad union has rejected its deal with the major U.S. freight railroads, reflecting workers' increasing frustration with the lack of paid sick time in the industry. The vote by the Brotherhood of Railroad Signalmen adds to concerns about the possibility of a strike next month that could cripple the economy. More than 60% of union members opposed the 5-year contract, even though it included 24% raises and $5,000 in bonuses. More details at srnnews.com.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Open enrollment. It can be a confusing, frustrating time, but it doesn't have to be. You're seeing celebs doing TV ads, billboards everywhere. You're inundated. At Medicare Blueprint, they help with Mom's Medicare plan. I called them, gave them the basics on Mom and her meds. They did everything else. Tim and his team do this full-time, year-round. If you call them, they talk to you. They take you through the whole process. Nothing outsourced. They do the work. A local number, a local guy. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. Tim knows this industry. He's been advocating for people like us for a long time. Go to his website, MedicareBlueprint.com. Look at the testimonials from people all over the Midlands. If Tim can help you, he will. If he can't help you today and thinks you're already in a better plan than he can find for you, he'll tell you because it's the right thing to do. Next time around, you'll remember his honesty. You'll call him when you need his help again. MedicareBlueprint.com or give him a call. 803-708-7398. That's 708-7398 for Medicare Blueprint.
Gas prices, grocery prices, inflation has hit us all, and it's caused the Fed to raise interest rates. As a result, after historically low mortgage rates for what seemed like forever, interest rates for a mortgage have jumped in recent months. Fran Halloran here. Let me make something clear to you. Mortgage rates are rising. They may continue to rise as the Fed tries to get a grip on inflation. What hasn't changed is the incredible customer service you'll get from Greg McCoy and Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Greg can't control interest rates. He can, however, control fees. With rates on the rise, now more than ever, you need to know you're getting the very best deal. Greg will make sure of that. He's more than just a mortgage guy. Greg McCoy is your trusted advisor. You might be surprised to learn how much Simplified Mortgage and Greg McCoy can do to help you with your biggest financial investment. Not sure? Have questions? Give Greg a call at Simplified Mortgage, 803-722-6044, or find him online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com. Greg McCoy, NMLS 119871.
Fall is here. The leaves are changing. It's almost time for a Halloween. That's right. It's time to adopt a pet from Columbia Animal Services. The best treats this October will be teaching your new dog or cat some tricks. Visit petfinder.com to find your new family member. Adoptions are $35, but you can get your new kitty or pooch from October 24th through Halloween for just a $15 fee. Visit petfinder.com and bring home a new fur baby from Columbia Animal Services.
All right, come on in, everybody. Get your football education now. It's time for Chalk Talk with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. I almost said Chuck Ellis. Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Time to get you educated on football, college football, from two of the great minds still alive in the world of college football. Coach Reedy, Coach Ellis. Coach Reedy, good evening. How are you?
Doing great, Phil. Glad we're still alive.
Alive?
Right.
Live?
That's
Hey,
the best thing you said.
that you're still
Yeah.
alive? I'm always relieved, Ellis, when you answer my text. I'm always relieved, believe me, on a weekly basis. I'm like very happy to hear back. Coach Reedy, I ran into Coach Clyde Wren today, and he looks great. He was walking around the parking lot there at USC, getting in his steps. Told me he had lunch with you down there at the Comeback Shack, and said you look as young as ever.
Well, I don't know about that, but we had a good visit. It was good. It was good to see him, and I'm glad he's walking. I've been getting on him about that. Man, got to get moving.
He's not crazy about it, he said, but he said they told him he had to walk, so he's out there walking around. So, okay, let's get into it. I want to start with you, Chuck. So, first of all, quarterback situation at Clemson. What'd you think about what Coach Sweeney did there? How he handled it? What do you think is going to be the long-term result here?
Well, I thought it took a lot of guts on his part, but I think they could see DJ was melting down. I mean, very reminiscent of how he played a year ago, and they needed something, and Klubnik gave them a spark. He didn't do much other than got a hit out of bounds that gave them the first down. If they don't get that, and they have to punt there, then Dabo would have, I don't know if he'd have stayed with him or if he'd had to go back to DJ. But as it worked out, they got in the end zone. Klubnik, he made one good throw. Sure, he's going to be a really good player, but I mean, he didn't do anything the other day. He made the good throw on the 2-point play. Other than that, he didn't make any plays. But he brought, they needed something, and whatever it was, he brought some energy. So, I don't think there's any question that DJ is their quarterback, and he will be their quarterback going forward.
Yeah, he made that clear as quickly as he could after the ball game. Didn't waste any time about that, trying to nip in the bud any talk of a quarterback controversy.
Well, if Klubnik had gone in there and lit it up, throwing and running, then you may have some conversation, but he didn't do that. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative, but he didn't do anything, throwing or running, that would, indicate that, he's ready to be the quarterback. Like I said, he made one good throw on the 2-point play. Other than that, he didn't make any plays.
Okay, one more. I know this is kind of low-hanging fruit, softball right down the middle question to you, but you have a running back like Sean Tucker. Is he carrying the ball 5 times?
No, and of course, they got a lot of criticism for that. I mean, the guy is dynamic. I mean, every time he touched the ball, I mean, he's one of those guys, when he touches it, you hold your breath because you think something good's going to happen. And, I can't explain it. I mean, they started the game, with looked like a great plan, quarterback running the ball and Tucker, running, getting some carries. But, second half, they got away from all of that.
Chalk Talk tonight here with Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. They joined us here every Wednesday evening to recap the previous weekend. Look forward to the upcoming weekend. And Coach Johnson, bring you in now defensively. What did you see out of Clemson? Did they improve in your mind from, say, the fourth quarter of the matchup with Florida State, where they caught a lot of criticism for not playing hard enough, especially from their own head coach?
Well, I thought that overall they had a great game. There was, a point in time in the first half when they gave up a couple of bad drives. One of them didn't result in points, but then one of them did, and then Clemson turned the ball over for a touchdown, gave him 7 points. So it came back. I mean, the quarterback did a good job running the ball early. I don't know if it surprised him, but I tell you, that kid's impressive. And but the first 4 drives, other than the 2 scored, I mean, they were 3 and out. The other one, they lost it on downs. Second half, punt, interception. Okay? So if you don't think they have a defense, they do. Are they playing every series consistently? Not right now. But they got run stops on the quarterback second half. They got a lot more pressure on him. And the O finally started putting up some points and changed a little bit of how Syracuse had to think about throwing it around, I guess. But overall, they've got a really good defense. I do think they've got to find a little more consistency.
Is this a case where, Ellis, that if Clemson's going to make a run and going to go deep, they're going to be carried by this defense? I mean, is it all going to be on the defense having to really shut down the opponent? And can they do that if they get to the playoffs and have to play a Georgia, an Alabama, or Tennessee, let's say, one of those teams with the high-powered offense?
So far, what I've seen, they're not that capable of doing that with some of the better teams in the country. They can play with anybody in the country, but they're not going to shut somebody out, shut somebody down. They're not going to hold the better teams in the country to 17 or less points. Their offense, when it was consistent, they were both feeding off each other. They've even had some good kicking game things, step in at times. But they're just too young in the secondary right now, and they have to be careful how much they put them out on islands with all this pressure stuff up front. And, the second touchdown, they brought a nickel blitz, and it requires the defensive end on the backside to pick up any back flares out. And he turned him loose. I mean, just little things like that. But they've got some really good players up front. And when they turn it on, their defense starts stopping people. When they're not dominating and they're not creating lost yardage plays and harassing quarterbacks, they get exposed a little bit.
Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Let's go to the Gamecocks now, Coach. Reedy, Gamecocks ranked 25th. First time since 2018 they've been ranked. They haven't won a game as a ranked team since 2014. They beat Vanderbilt that year, lost the next week, then were not ranked again until 2018, lost the game when they were ranked, and haven't been ranked since until this past Sunday. So they'll play their first game as a ranked team and a chance to win a game as a ranked team for the first time since 2014. And they play a Missouri team that looks somewhat limited offensively, looks really good defensively. What did you take away from the offense? It helped to have the short field. It helped to get the kickoff return. It helped to get up 17-0 within 5 minutes. But outside of all that, what'd you take away from the offense?
Well, it wasn't a dynamic performance. I mean, they had less than 300 yards total offense. One thing that they have done, and we've been talking about this for a long time. They've given the ball to Marshawn Lloyd, and he needs to touch it 20, 25, 30 times a game. Carries, catches, what have you. Take the ball, take the pressure, off of Rattler. I don't think they're going to win games with Rattler throwing the football. I think if they continue to, and they have since they had the Charlotte and South Carolina State weeks, they got back to running the football, and they have done a much better job running the ball since then and being a more balanced offense. And if they continue on that track, they 2 games they ought to win. They can go into Florida 7-2. And I think regardless of the fact that they hadn't been, overly impressive on offense, they got a chance to be 7-2 and, going into the last 3 games. And if they continue to get better running the football, I think they've got to get the ball to Jaheim Bell. I just don't understand why they don't have a better plan to get the ball to him. But having said all of that, it wasn't overly impressive, but, I think they've kind of found out that that Lloyd is the guy that's got to carry them.
Yeah. And so, in your professional opinion, you watch Spencer Rattler and put all the hype and the buildup aside. I'm sure his thinking was come to South Carolina, play a year, and then be drafted and move on. But does he look like an NFL draft pick to you? And then again, if not, South Carolina benefits if he comes back for another season?
Well, yeah, they definitely would benefit. I mean, he's a good player. He's not a franchise guy. He's not a first-round draft pick. I mean, if he decides to go out, I mean, probably a middle to late round pick. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, certainly he would benefit probably to, or certainly Carolina would benefit, having a guy come back with the experience that he's got. And, so it remains to be seen, but, he's not, if he's not the guy that was hyped up, when they got him, come in, be a first round draft pick and, all of that. I haven't seen that. I mean, he's a good player. And if they don't make him go out and try to win games, I said this from the second game of the season, they throw it over 30 times, they'll get beat. And, and they've been keeping it around 25 throws a game, and that's where they need to be.
Coach Johnson, when you watch USC's defense, first off, how good is that front four playing right now? In particular, a guy like Tonka Hemingway. And do we overlook his value, especially on special teams? Because I think he probably should be MVP of the win over Texas A&M. If he doesn't make that tackle on the blocked extra point, A&M's in an entirely different mindset on that final drive of the game. Just how well is he playing right now, both on special teams and also defensively up front?
They have improved, and I think they got some guys back. It look like they're playing more individuals in that front, and I think he's keeping them fresh. That being said, I don't think they're lights out defense yet, but they did enough the other day. And I thought the most important thing is they really held down the explosive plays. And Texas A&M hadn't had a lot of that in the throwing game because they've had quarterback issues. I think the noise bothered them a lot and caused a lot of dysfunction on their offense. But I think A-Kane only had 2 runs over 11 yards, and that was, I think, the big key. He pretty much got his yards, but he was not anybody that was controlling the ball game or anything, and that's what they've been relying on. So the improvement in the defensive front, stopping the running game, and I know the whole team's involved in that, but the improvement up front, the defensive front, stopping the running game and not letting it become something that continually moves the sticks. I think that's been the biggest change. They also got them a couple of takeaways, and they didn't win the turnover battle, but they got 2 takeaways, and that's been something they haven't been able to do very much lately. But those explosive plays, they really limited them, and I think that really helped them on the defensive side.
Ellis, what about Pete Limbo? Don't know if you know him at all through your travels, but the job that he's doing with the special teams at South Carolina. And look, also Clemson's having some good success with their special teams, but I think South Carolina's really standing out. I mean, they're number 1 nationally in categories, and they've used the special teams to their benefit a lot throughout the season. What are you seeing about what he's doing with the special teams that's working?
Well, I don't know this, but my gut feeling is that Shane hired him because of this and has told him, I want to be a little bit aggressive in the kicking game because he's not calling these things on his own. But I think he's done a tremendous job. These special teams guys, usually the guy that studies the opponent, see if there's a weakness in their coverage, a weakness in their protection. Can we block a punt? Can we sneak an onside kick and then an opportune time and all that? Mm-hmm. So I just think he's done a fantastic job. If you want to find anybody who's, they've been pretty special every game, it's just a kicking game. It has not been on both sides of the ball. They've been up and down, hot and cold, and they're getting better. But special teams have saved them at least 4 games.
Yeah, they have really been something else. So let's talk about big picture here, Chuck. What'd you think about what LSU did to Ole Miss and how soundly they beat Ole Miss in the daylight there in Baton Rouge? What is your take on what Brian Kelly is doing there? And is LSU going to perhaps be an issue for Alabama when Alabama goes down there in a couple of weeks?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, LSU is playing really well. Jaden Daniels is, he's playing about as well as any quarterback in the country right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, Alabama, they haven't looked to me to be the dominant kind of football team that you expect from Alabama. And, I think LSU's got a good chance to beat them down there. And which, give them a chance then to win the West Division. And, Alabama's just, they've got to play better than what they played, I think, if they're going to beat LSU down there.
Ellis, what about Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky? Those three are going to be playing each other here over the next couple of weeks, heading down the stretch. What do you think is going to be the end result? Is Georgia just going to take care of business? Or are we going to see Tennessee, Kentucky do some damage there? What do you think?
I think Kentucky was a bit overrated. And, we saw when they lost one of the better players for a week, they weren't a very good football team. So I can't see them sustaining that kind of performance down through the few games left in the season. Tennessee is a different animal. And we know they're going to probably score. If they take care of the ball and their defense can get enough stops, they can beat anybody in the country on a given day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're a total football team, a top 4 football team yet. But I've really been impressed with what they're doing defensively, the way they're schemed, the way they're approaching things, and they're getting the most out of their players. And, they didn't get a lot of stops against Alabama, but they got some critical ones. And during the course of the season, they've been much improved over what they've been the last few years. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if they beat Georgia. Georgia can't score prolifically like Tennessee. I was on one of my radio shows in Tuscaloosa the week of the Tennessee-Alabama game. They asked me, I said, if it gets up to the 40s, Alabama's going to have a problem. It's going to get sticky. I believe the same thing with Georgia, and I do think Georgia's better on defense than Alabama. If Tennessee can get up in the high 30s against Georgia, they can beat them.
Does that Tuscaloosa radio show pay you more than this one?
Well, I don't know. I was going to tell you, I was worried since Clemson got an open day, you were going to try to tell Chuck, and I would only get 50%. I realized 50% of nothing is nothing.
That's right. Nothing's changed. But check your text message. There might be a message in there for you this evening. Just check your text message.
All I want's a lunch one day.
Well,
you ain't even invited me to lunch.
That's why I'm telling you to check your text message here this evening. You might be surprised. All right, last thing, we'll let you go. Our poll question is Clemson's 8-0, 4 games to go. Which of their last 4 teams is the greatest threat? That's our poll question of the week. They got to go to Notre Dame, home games, Louisville, Miami, South Carolina. No longer the of. They dropped the of. It's USC again, guys. No longer you of. No, I never recognized the of. Anyway, Chuck, real quick, of those 4, who's the greatest threat to beating Clemson?
South Carolina.
Oh! Ellis, what do you think?
I go at Notre Dame simply because they got to go up there, and then they got Carolina at home.
Yeah. Chuck, you were pretty quick on the draw there to pick the Gamecocks.
Well, because I had thought about that, and I mean Notre Dame. I mean Ellis is right that Clemson's playing at home. Obviously, they won 38 in a row. It's hard to beat them at home, and going to Notre Dame may be challenging. But Marshall didn't have a good time with it, so I'm not inclined to think that Clemson will either.
Now, 50.6% of the responses say the Gamecocks, 425 votes. Yes, sir?
The only team that can beat Clemson the rest of the way is Clemson. That's a good question, but the bottom line is not about those other things.
Well, and they tried to the other day. They had 4 turnovers, and that's the only way they're going to get beat. And they tried, but when it was all said and done, they were able to win it.
Guys, can't thank you enough. Chuck, thank you, sir. Have a great week. Same thing to you, Ellis. Check that text message later on. And we will talk to you guys next week. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you,
Did you mean
Chuck.
Venmo or text? You send it on Venmo or text?
No, I don't have your Venmo. I'm shocked that you know what Venmo is. All right. Thank you very much. Check your text. And thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Ellis. Thank you, everybody. We got to get to the break here before the top there. Have we got time? We don't. Okay. We won't go to the break then. We'll just roll it over to the next hour.
Good, because I'm glad you asked Chuck Reedy about Sean Tucker. Because if I'm Syracuse's athletic staff, Dino Babers doesn't even get on the plane on the ride home. I've never seen a coach at a Power 5 level be that inept as he was Saturday.
Well, how would you suggest he gets home then?
I would have left him in Clemson and said, go look for a new job because you're no longer our head football coach. I mean, I've never seen a coach do that bad a job with one of the top flight players. Shane Beamer talked about during the third quarter, he went to Marcus Satterfield and just said, get our best players to football and let them go make plays. Syracuse must have had the exact opposite. Keep the football out of our best players' hands, and let's see if we can't make plays. I mean, it's just inept coaching on Saturday.
Chris, especially with Barrett Carter being announced out, that morning, that completely negated the speed to stop the outside run. We saw their quarterback, Schrader. He was able to get the outside all day. McGuire, as good of a linebacker as he is, does not have the same closing speed as Barrett Carter. So you would have thought the moment they realized that, that's even more reason to get Sean Tucker the ball, even if you're giving it to him in a screen or some kind of toss to the outside, just to get him to the outside.
Yeah.
He had as many receptions as he did carries.
Shocking.
I mean, it's just there's no excuse for it. And Dino tried to play it off, saying that Clemson had a real good scheme and they were taking the quarterback or the running back away. That's why Schrader had to carry it as much as he did. You find a way to get that ball into Sean Tucker's hands if you have to line up in an I formation and physically hand it to him and say, give him the ball. There were several things in that game. Not kicking the field goal on the opening series, I thought was dumb. I thought Shane Beamer made a mistake in terms of the field goal as well down late in the fourth quarter. He kicks that field goal. They go up 12, game over. You don't have to worry about Texas A&M at an onside kick. So it's just interesting sometimes. But Dino Babers, there's just no excuse how bad he coached in that ball game.
All right. Thanks to the guys for being with us. Always great to hear from the coaches. A few notes before we hit the top of the hour, and then the pastor of Payne, Corey Miller, moved him up to tonight, switched him with Mike Morgan because tomorrow night the pastor is going to be inducted into the USC Football Hall of Fame and won't be available. Got the Clemson baseball schedule for 2023. Tigers will open up on February 17th at home against Binghamton. Then they get Charlotte, and then 3 against UCF, then a game against Upstate. Then the series with South Carolina, March 3, 4, 5, Clemson, Greenville, Columbia. Then East Tennessee State, then a game with Presbyterian, then 3 against Georgia State, a home game with College of Charleston. ACC schedule begins on March 17th, 3 at home with Duke. They'll play Winthrop. They'll play at Kennesaw, go to Georgia Tech for 3, over to College of Charleston for a game, home to Wake Forest for 3, rolling into April. Then a home game with Coastal. They will play Coastal. At Florida State for 3.
Went twice.
Yeah, at Florida State for 3, at Georgia. Then home to Notre Dame for 3, a home game with Georgia. Then they go to NC State for a weekend, home game to Kennesaw State, up to Boston College, home with Louisville, to Coastal Carolina, May the 10th. Then 3 at Virginia Tech, then home to Upstate, and they close out the regular season home. 3 games with North Carolina. ACC tournament to be in Durham this year. So it's heavy home, first part of the schedule, then more of a road slate, the latter part of the schedule.
Yeah, Eric Mackage ought to enjoy the first 2 months. He's going to have a nice honeymoon phase when only they play 3 games, not at Doug Kingsmore Stadium, through the middle of March.
Sounds about right. About right. The Big South preseason basketball ranking released today. Longwood, the pick at number 1, Winthrop at number 2, Asheville 3, Gardner-Webb 4, High Point 5th, Campbell Radford tied for 6th, Upstate 8th, Presbyterian 9th, Charleston Southern 10th. Furman, the pick of the Southern Conference coaches to win the Southern Conference championship this year. Furman, they got it going. So close to making the tournament last year, and they're going to be the favorite to win the SoCon and win it this year. Samford second, Greensboro third, Chattanooga fourth, Wofford fifth, the Citadel ninth. We'll be back. Top of the hour break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The United States has imposed new sanctions against Iranian officials following the death of a 22-year-old woman in police custody. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
In a joint action by the State and Treasury Departments, sanctions are being levied against members of Iran's intelligence agency, leaders of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, prison wardens, and others.
Demonstrating our commitment to use all appropriate tools to hold all level of the Iranian government to account.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. The latest penalties continue a string of actions imposed against Tehran for its repression of protesters and disrupting internet access. Greg Clugston, the White House.
The midterm elections are less than 2 weeks away, and campaigns are scrambling to make last-minute pitches to voters as Election Day nears. Correspondent Bernie Bennett reports.
The nonpartisan Cook Political Report on Tuesday increased its outlook for House GOP gains from 10 to 20 seats to 12 to 25 seats as Democrats' blue state problems expanded. The GOP needs 5 seats to flip the House, and a new NBC poll shows 78% of Republicans have a high interest in voting in the midterms, compared with 69% of Democrats. The razor-tight margins mean all eyes will be on a handful of key races November 8th, but voters may not learn the results that night. Poll closing times, state election laws, and when states count early votes could combine to keep people waiting for days or even weeks for results. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Elon Musk posted a video Wednesday showing him strolling into Twitter headquarters ahead of a Friday deadline to close his $44 billion deal to buy the company. Musk also changed his Twitter profile to refer to himself as Chief Twit and his location as Twitter's San Francisco headquarters. A mixed day on Wall Street as the Dow was up by 2 points, but the NASDAQ dropped 228. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Some western states are proposing a Rio Grande water management deal, as we hear from correspondent Norman Hall.
In a case that has been pending nearly a decade before the U.S. Supreme Court, New Mexico, Texas, and Colorado say they've worked out a settlement over the management of the Rio Grande. But attorneys with the U.S. Department of Justice in some irrigation districts that serve farmers downstream of New Mexico's Elephant Butte Reservoir argued that the proposal would not be a workable solution. The Rio Grande is managed through a system of federal dams and canals under provisions of a water sharing agreement that also includes Mexico. Water supplies in the West region are dwindling due to increased demand, along with drought and warmer temperatures brought on by climate change. I'm Norman Hall.
New Mexico and the other states plan in the coming weeks to submit their motion to move the proposed settlement forward, opening the door for federal officials in the irrigation districts to respond. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your Wednesday afternoon forecast. Today gets nicer and nicer as the early morning showers and clouds clear out. We'll get sunshine and a high temp of 79 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 51. Tomorrow, gorgeous again, sunny skies at a high of 74. For the weekend, more clouds than sun on Saturday and rain likely on Sunday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back with you, Sports Talk Media Network. On this Wednesday night, we had just been jam-packed. We had the announcement of the 7 finalists for Mr. Football in South Carolina. Then, great edition of Chalk Talk, try to educate you on some football, so you know the difference between a left tackle and a wide receiver. I'm afraid some of those in our audience don't really know the difference between the two, you know what I mean? So we're trying to educate you here on Sports Talk. We continue our education here tonight, typically a Thursday night guest, but because he is being honored tomorrow night, along with others, at USC, no longer an of in there, USC, though I never said the of anyway, into the Athletic Hall of Fame of the USC Gamecocks. He is former Gamecock star, former New York Giants star linebacker, pastor of Payne, Corey Miller. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Fellas, I'm doing well. Just enjoying this beautiful afternoon, sitting out here on the porch and talking to some of my favorite people.
Well, we appreciate that very much. The feeling is shared. It's great to have you with us. So, South Carolina gets the win, hard-fought win over Texas A&M. What did you see? What was the good, bad, ugly in your eyes of watching the Gamecocks?
Well, the good, obviously, was they won the game. I mean, what an amazing environment. I was at the game, my first game of the year. And, when you start fast, something that I've talked about on your show, that, they've been sluggish coming out the gates, the first 4 or 5 games. But they started fast, like kickoff returns, defense 3 and out. Offense, was good again. And the defense comes up with a big interception, gave them a short field to score a touchdown. And the fan base was just amazing. I mean, I saw those lights and all the theatrics that they had going on was just amazing. But, the bad was they allowed them to get back in the game. The offense, I thought, was very lethargic. Couldn't get anything done. The defense kept setting them up. Good field position, but we couldn't punch in scores. I mean, I thought this game should have been, 35, 38 to 10. It should have been that bad. But when it mattered, and they decided to give the ball to the best players, as we stated, Marshawn Lloyd being one of those running the football. They separated themselves. When they had to score, they got things done. I don't know if I saw any ugly. I mean, there's nothing that was really ugly to me. I thought special teams was great. Defenses, they did their thing, and the offense was still, to me, a little subpar, but good when they had to be good. And they got a big win over a team that has dominated them since they've been in the SEC. So they finally got their first win, and I know people can say, well, Texas A&M, they're not any good, but Texas A&M has a lot more 5-stars and 4-stars than South Carolina. They probably have right now more NFL players than South Carolina. So to get that monkey off the back I thought was tremendous. And, that winning streak continues. So can they build off of it will be the biggest thing.
The $1 million question, or maybe the $5 million question, is what can they do to get this offense to be dynamic? Is it still just a matter of better players across the board, or what do you see? What's holding this offense back, in your opinion, from just blowing up and being dynamic?
I don't think it's the play caller. I mean, the players. I think it's the play calling. I think, you got to be innovative. You got to really be a coordinator that I like to say have that sharp number 2 pencil to draw plays, to put the defense on his heels, getting those guys out in space, and get them the ball. I mean, there's a reason Shane Beamer said, I told, Satterfield to get the ball in the hands of players. Jaheim Bell, he needs more touches. Marshawn Lord needs more touches. Jim McDowell needs more touches. And when they bring in, different players, and they know it's obvious run and things like that. You got to be innovative. I mean, you got to be more innovative in your play calling, your offense, which I don't think they are. I think they're very vanilla. I think they're very predictable at times. From a defensive standpoint, understanding what they're doing, and that's the issue. It's not talent. They have plenty of talent. Those guys I just mentioned are very good players, and I think you're looking at having Spencer Rattler on your team, who came from Oklahoma, with a lot of hype. A guy that was in the Heisman conversation a couple of years ago, hasn't played. I think to his ability, and I think a lot of it because of what they're calling, what they're trying to run is more of an NFL mindset behind this offense, and you got to get more college mindset. That's why Tennessee with Josh Heupel, he got speedy receivers, guys that are great in space. Put the pressure on the defense. Play a little bit faster. I think that would help them out. Go tempo. Make the defense tired. There's several things like that they can do to really exploit the defense and come up with some big chunk plays. I don't think they've done that this season. At sometimes when they're in pressure, they go fast, and I think they play better. But to answer your question in short, it's not the athletes. It's more the play calling, in my opinion.
Corey Miller with us here tonight before his induction into the South Carolina Athletics Hall of Fame tomorrow evening. And Corey, I'm sure you've been on teams during your high school career, college career, certainly in the NFL, that had outstanding special teams. I don't think anybody could argue that USC special teams is elite. So what makes a good special team, in particular with the Gamecocks? Is it strictly Pete Limbo? Is he been able to craft things that nobody else can do? Is it the right players at the right spots? I mean, what makes a really good special teams unit like what the Gamecocks have?
That's a great question. Pete Limbo for sure is very good at his job, but you got to have guys buy into special teams. A lot of players, especially at the high level, they don't want to play special teams. And if you stick them on there, they're really not in it. They're just going to go through the motion. Okay, we're punt pro. Well, let me just block my guy and let me loaf down the field because I got to go play defense. If it's kickoff, we're not busting our hump. We're not going down like kamikazes doing stuff up. We just get the guy on the ground. With punt block, guys, let them punt it. We do okay. But these guys have bought into the system. Shane Beamer has made it clear that third phase of the game is an important phase. It's just as important as the offense and the defense. And yes, when you want to have great special teams, and I haven't seen this done in Alabama, you don't have starters on special teams. See, a lot of teams won't use some of their best players on special teams. They're going to get the backups, a third team guy to walk on. And quite frankly, they may not be as good. They may not be as quick off the line of scrimmage. They don't have the twitchiness or the quick hips. So they play some of their best guys, too, on special teams. And these guys love it. And I've been in places where, they don't like it, so they just go through the motion. But these guys at South Carolina has bought into the system of, hey, special teams can be the difference of us winning and losing games. And they have fun doing it. And I think some of the best special teams I played on and been a part of had coaches that made it fun. It was like, hey, man, you took pride in blocking a punt. You take pride in returning a kickoff 100 yards for a touchdown. You take pride in that punter, putting that offense behind the sticks by kicking it inside the 10, inside the 5. And those are pride things. They celebrate those things. When you got a coach that loves special teams, they celebrate it. They make those guys on special teams feel just as important as the offense or defense. And I think that's what you're saying. Shane learned it from his father, Frank. They didn't have the upper echelon talent at Virginia Tech. No bunch of 5-stars, but they use special teams as that third weapon, and it worked. And I think that's what you're seeing at South Carolina. They're very good. They're very passionate, and I think it's going to be something that gives them wins in big games.
Pastor of Payne, Corey Miller, with us here on Sports Talk. Let's shift to Clemson, and that defense really shut down Syracuse second half the other day. They needed to because they had to give their offense a chance to get them back in the ball game because their offense had some issues. Quarterback change there. What do you think? And Clemson's got a couple of weeks now before they play Notre Dame up there. What do you think is what the Tigers are going to be doing here moving forward to get a complete situation where the offense is complementing the defense? We know what the defense is going to going to do, but the offense got to pick it up and you got to get. I mean, Uyangale's been really good to this point, but then he had his struggles on Saturday. Where do you think Dabo Swinney and people are going to turn up there?
Well, I think, defensively, their front seven is sound and very good, but I still have some concerns on the back end. I think there's some issues there with the young cornerbacks. I mean, they give up some plays here and there. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to impose their will on opposing offenses. But I'm not, as I've been saying this, Phil, I'm very consistent. That offense, nobody's scared of them. They don't have the big-time players on the outside. Williams is a decent slot receiver, but still young, still learning. The offensive line with the freshman, they took him out, I believe, in the game last week, has issues. I don't think they're a great offensive line. They're average. And the quarterback, unfortunately, DJ Uyangale is an average quarterback, in my opinion. And he struggles at times with his confidence. When one bad thing happens, he seems to lose his confidence and make bad decisions with the football, which is why he was replaced by Cade Klubnik. So that being said, they got to get more consistent offensively. Their thing is running the football, obviously, with Will Shipley, running the quarterback counters with DJ Uyangale. And when they do that and control the clock, they make some plays here and there, but there's nobody afraid of this offense. And I think, this bye week, they got to figure those things out. What can they do offensively? Same thing I said about South Carolina. I'll second it with their offensive coordinator. I don't like what they're doing offensively. What happened to the jet sweeps and all the little things they used to do years ago? They don't run a lot of that stuff anymore. So it's pretty vanilla, very basic. And as I said on my TV show today, I think they have masked a lot of the stuff because of the conference, which I think is an average conference in the ACC that allows them to get by in these games, man. But going to Notre Dame, who has a very good defense, I saw that against Ohio State on the road, how well they played C.J. Stroud. They're going to have to do some things because I think they're going to find themselves in a situation where it's going to cost them a ball game based on the offense, not the defense.
Do you think Shipley's an elite running back?
No. I'm sitting here on the porch out here at this facility with my friend who's a Clemson fan. He's listening to me right now, and I just got finished telling him, you compared Shipley to Christian McCaffrey. And I said, man, something must be in that tequila. I think he's drinking in that glass. I was like, he's not even in the stratosphere of, a Christian McCaffrey. But he is a very solid back. He reminds me of a Ryan Brewer. A Rob DeBoer, loves the game, highly competitive, strong, great heart. But to say elite, I can't see it. I don't think he's a Sunday guy. I think he's a solid college football player. That's good for Clemson in their program, but I would not dare put him in the elite status.
His speed, you don't think his speed is kind of sets him apart? Is he sprinter type for you? Sprinter type speed?
No, I think he's got good burst. I think he's a 4.58 type of guy. That's what I see, which is all you need if you can run between the tackles, which he can do, but I think he is a very good college football player. And I think he's a good kid, but I can't put him, Phil, in the elite status. I don't see him just making people miss and all this type of stuff. Runs hard, toughness. But if he's going to play at the next level, he's got to be one of those guys as a backup and have to, play on special teams. And I don't see that part of him either. But good for what Clemson is doing, but not elite.
All right. Before we let you go, a couple more things. Panthers, touch on that. They had enough offense, and of course the defense was outstanding. They made Brady really look like an old man. What'd you think of what the Panthers threw out there on Sunday, and something they can maybe build on here as best they can?
Well, listen, they shocked me with the win, and I was talking to somebody earlier. I think this was more about Tampa Bay, how bad they are right now. You got your quarterback. But I've never heard of any player saying, "Hey, you know what? I know y'all are traveling, but I'm gonna go to a wedding." Come on, I'll catch y'all on Sunday.
Yeah.
Leaving for 10 days. This stuff wouldn't happen in the real world with people on football teams. And there's a disconnect that's happening. Yeah, Tampa has some injuries and things like that. Tom Brady may be having, family issues. But I think this is more about Tampa and how bad they were. But give them credit, the Panthers. I talked about keeping guys involved and focused. You know, you got to give Wilkes the credit for doing that. You know, you lose your best player on your team in Christian McCaffrey in a trade. You know, you're playing against the GOAT with your third string quarterback, and the defense played lights up. Listen, it was a good win, but I don't know if this is something consistent that we're going to see from the Panthers every week. I saw the locker room very emotional. A good win for them based on all that they have gone through. But at the same time, I think this was more about Tampa being a bad football team at this point in the season, more so than the Panthers just being a better football team.
Sure.
Corey, Shaq Thompson said after that ball game that Steve Wilkes, in his mind, was screwed over in Arizona, and that the players with the Panthers want him to get that full-time job in Carolina. In your experience in the NFL, how much pull do the actual players have on decisions such as that? I mean, if the Panthers go out and win 4 or 5 games and show some progress, would it be smart for that front office to keep Steve Wilkes around and remove that interim tag?
First question, they have nothing. You know, who gets that job? I mean, zero. I get it. They want to support the coach, and I understand that, you know, an African-American coach, you know, felt like he got the short end of the stick with his opportunity in Arizona, just being there one season. I get all of that, but listen, man, they have nothing to do with who David Tepper's going to hire as the next coach. You know, I think he has to be like taking them to the playoffs, win a game, do something just almost as I would say it would be supernatural if that happens. But you know, if he does that, yeah, I think he has to be in consideration. But winning 4 or 5 games is not going to be enough. I know the fan base is going to be loud. You know, if just 4 or 5 games and this guy is your head coach, they're not going to like that one. So I think he has to do something absolutely just incredible, like make the playoffs, win the NFC South, before he really would be in any type of serious consideration for that job.
All right, Pastor Payne, congratulations on your induction tomorrow night, along with other former Gamecock stars into the Athletic Hall of Fame over there. Just your quick thought on going into that and representing your school. And I don't know if you even care about what they announced today, that they've dropped the U of SC identification now and going back to what they've always been, USC.
Well, I like USC. It's much easier to say.
Yeah.
But no, I don't really, you know, it don't really bother me at all. I know that, you know, being a part of USC and Hall of Fame is an amazing accomplishment, and very blessed and very thankful for this opportunity tomorrow. And, you know, don't know what I'm going to say, just that I don't write a speech or notes. I just go up there and let it be heartfelt. And I'm very blessed and thankful. A lot of my sisters and brothers are going to be here, my kids, you know, a lot of friends. Coach Usher, my high school coach's wife, is going to be here. Of course, he passed away last year. So it's going to be emotional. I'm just hoping I don't cry the whole time and I speak a little bit. But I'm so gracious, man, and just thankful for this opportunity to be a part of an elite class of athletes. So it's going to be fun. I hope I get to see you down there and celebrate with you.
Yeah, the over-under on the choke-up, I'd say, is 45 seconds.
Yeah, probably a minute. It's probably going to be a minute, but I'm just going to think about the pack right now. If I go up there tomorrow and just think about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers and Steel Cornflute and what he's feeling, he's probably got a 1 minute and a half of crying on every Sunday watching the Packers.
This is true. We'll make it more like 50 minutes of crying watching the Packers. Okay, my man, thank you so much. Congratulations. And we will talk to you next Thursday, your regular slot, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Corey.
Many thanks for you having me, man. I appreciate all of you guys and the job y'all are doing. Great at what you do. Love you. And looking forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you very much, Pastor of Payne, Corey Miller.
You know, class he's being enshrined with.
Very few people come on the show and say they love us, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Listen, callers, anytime when you're ready to hang up, you want to say we love you, you know, we'll be happy to take it. You know, nobody ever says that when they say goodbye. They just hang up and move on. But if you want to hang it up, you know, as you finish your comments and go, hey, by the way, we love you. That's okay. Share the love. We're all good with that. We got to hit a break because we are getting behind, and we'll come back and maybe take some calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. Lines have opened up. If you want to grab them, do so. We can also get into some recruiting and have a special guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. and we'll tell you about that when that happens. And we will continue with more sports talk after this timeout.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with the family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HD TVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Hope, life, and the Great Palmetto. What do these things have in common? Scholarship dollars. The SC Hope, the Life, and the Palmetto Fellow Scholarships are funded by the lottery players of this great state. And after 20 years, you've invested over $7 billion in education. $7 billion. Impressive. The South Carolina Education Lottery. When you play, we all win.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
When your day calls for some winning, why not watch your favorite football team at Dave & Buster's? We've got massive HD TVs and hundreds of the hottest new games. Sip from our chef-crafted cocktail menu with exclusive drinks such as the Strawberry Watermelon Margarita or Dangerous Waters. Cheer on the team with Cantina Nachos or wings featuring one of our 12 wing flavors. When your day calls for some winning, it's time for Dave & Buster's, where you can watch the games and play the games. Locations in Greenville, Columbia, and Myrtle Beach.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Got recruiting coming up for you in a few minutes. Stay tuned for that. Quickly, let's get back to the phones. Joel over in Florence up next here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Hey, Phil, I'm doing great. I caught your show a little late, and I saw where they announced the 7 finalists for Mr. Football.
Yes.
Was Darren Lloyd, the running back from West Florence, one of them?
No, sir.
Well, I know everybody in every town has their local hometown heroes, but that's a crying shame that kid did not get. I mean, my God, he put up 200 yards against 5A Burns, put up 200 yards against the top 5A Lexington. He plays in 6-4A, the toughest region in the state, head and shoulders. Just last week, he had 398 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
I find it hard to believe he's not one of the 6 best players in the state.
Yeah, 7. They had 7.
7.
Yeah. That's listen, I'm sure there's a bunch of players who should be considered and should be on there, And he sounds like one of them, but they can't nominate 100 of them. They got to get it down. They can't choose a bunch. But
I wonder, Phil and Joel, I wonder if it boiled down to the fact that you also had Lenore Sellers at South Florence, and they didn't want to have 2 kids from the same region and in the same town as a finalist.
But you shouldn't be penalized for that. I mean, if you're worthy, you're worthy,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thank you for the phone call. Yeah, you got Florence is the hot spot for high school football Friday night. I understand, talking to Pete again today, Spartan High is still dealing with flu on their team. Yeah, they got Dorman, and they've been dealing with flu all week. Be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your Wednesday afternoon forecast. Today gets nicer and nicer as the early morning showers and clouds clear out. We'll get sunshine and a high temp of 79 tonight, mostly clear with a low of 51. Tomorrow, gorgeous again, sunny skies at a high of 74. For the weekend, more clouds than sun on Saturday and rain likely on Sunday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting 3 men have been convicted of supporting a plot to kidnap Michigan's governor. It's a victory for state prosecutors after months of mixed results in the main case in federal court. Joe Morrison, Pete Musico, and Paul Bellar were found guilty Wednesday of providing material support for a terrorist act as members of a paramilitary group, the Wolverine Watchmen. Someone who was hit by the man convicted in last year's Christmas parade crash says the verdict will help all the victims heal. Darrell Brooks was found guilty Wednesday of all 76 charges, including 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. He drove into the parade in suburban Milwaukee after fleeing a domestic disturbance with an ex-girlfriend. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 2 points, the Nasdaq dropped 228, the S&P 500 lower by 28. More details at srnnews.com.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to shooterschoicesc.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at shooterschoicesc.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Attention listeners, con artists have many tricks for stealing your money, but the AARP Fraud Watch Network is here to help you protect yourself and your family. We give you the tools you need to spot and avoid scams. So listen for the AARP Fraud Watch Network alerts. Use our scam tracking map to see the latest scams and sign up for prevention tips and alerts from law enforcement. To learn how to outsmart con artists before they strike, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Hi, honey. I love fall. Cooler weather, football games, the fair. I can't wait.
Yes, but I dread all the other things that come with it, like the flu.
No one likes that, but luckily we have True Pharmacy.
What can they do?
Just a quick visit to their website at truerxsc.com, and we can make an appointment to get our shots at our convenience.
So no waiting in the doctor's office or in line?
Nope, quick and painless.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's make that appointment. True Pharmacy, online at truerxsc.com and 2 locations, West Columbia and Divine Street.
The AARP Fraud Watch Network can help you keep yourself and your family safe. To learn more, visit aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork for news and tips on how to spot common scams and to learn about and report scams in your area.
Hey, it's the Cigar Militia. We want to thank the Midlands for a wonderful first year. Thank you for helping us grow. We had no idea we had so many good friends out there. One thing I love about the cigar culture is we all have our favorite brands, but we're also willing to try new ones too. Come in and get your old standby or have one of our knowledgeable staff members walk you through the humidor to your new favorite. We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard in the same plaza as the Melting Pot Restaurant.
Hi, this is Chris Neely from the South Carolina Public Charter School District. Join me Monday afternoons at 5:30 as I team up with Kev for Kids First. We'll tackle the issues facing our schools, pointing out the positives with our students and teachers. Kids First, Mondays at 5:30 on The Point.
All right, back to your calls in a couple of minutes. Also, recruiting coming up and more here in our final minutes tonight of very busy edition of Sports Talk. You know, we love to give back whenever is possible here to the state of South Carolina. We're very fortunate to have great sponsors as part of what we do. One of those is the South Carolina Beef Council, and the chairman of the South Carolina Beef Council, John Fogle, joining us for a few minutes here on Sports Talk. The website is sccattle.org. John, thank you so much for joining us here across the state on Sports Talk tonight. How are you, sir?
I am very well, and thank you so much for having us.
Oh, it is our pleasure. You know, we all love beef. I don't think anybody listening to this program doesn't love a great steak, a great hamburger, whatever the case may be. So it's a pleasure to have you with us. And across the state of South Carolina, just how big is the ranching community as you go across our state?
In the state of South Carolina, we have about 7,800 producers. Now, that is beef and dairy cows. Both of those are in the same group. But our cattle numbers are around 320,000. For South Carolina size, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that certainly is. How'd you get into raising cattle?
I was fortunate enough to be born on a dairy farm just north of Columbia toward Blythewood, and was raised there. And then the dairy buyout in the 70s, our focus was turned to beef cattle. And that's where I got my love for raising cattle and being around cattle my whole life.
And so this has been a long-term family thing for you.
It has been, yes, sir.
Are most of the ranches in South Carolina, are they owned by the families, or have large companies come in and bought them up?
I am not aware of a large company that is a producer in the state of South Carolina. Our 7,800 producers are all family owned and family operated.
And that's something to be proud of, isn't it?
It swells me with pride to let you know that we have that many people. Of course, our numbers are getting smaller as our older producers retire, but we still are represented very well, I think, with those 7,800 producers, and hoping our cattle numbers get higher.
Now, I'm not trying to put anybody above you or you above anybody else, but I mean, to me, in the sports world, maybe the most famous rancher in South Carolina maybe is Danny Ford up there with his cattle. You ever gone up there to Pendleton and visited with him?
I have met Danny Ford on one occasion and went on a tour of his farm, and he has an excellent operation. Excellent operation.
Yeah, I was actually there one time when he was coming out of the fields there. He'd been tagging his cattle. It's amazing to me how well he talks to his cattle and how they respond. How about you? Do you talk to your cattle? Do they respond to you?
Well, my favorite ones absolutely have names. So that kind of lets you know how most producers are really close to their cattle. We pick out our favorites just as anybody does.
What are some of the names?
All of them end with Bell, Belle, and I've got a Maybell, and I've just recently had one that I acquired, and her name is Esther Bell.
So the names just go through, and you just look at them, and what's a good name for that animal?
That's great. Now, what is the beef checkoff program? We hear a lot about that. What does it mean? How does it work? How do the ranchers benefit from that?
Well, in 1985, in the Farm Bill, it was introduced as the beef checkoff. And at that time, as you sell an animal, whether it be dairy or beef, private, treaty, or an auction sale, you were levied a $1 commitment for that.
Mm-hmm.
50 cents, which stayed in the state, and 50 cents is remitted to the Cattlemen's Beef Board, which is part of the marketing of the United States Department of Agriculture. But some 5 years ago, we were able to add an additional 50 cents for the state. So that means you sell an animal, you pay $1.50, and that $1 stays in the state of South Carolina for us to promote beef and education.
Well, that's fantastic. So around the state of South Carolina, talking about the ranchers, basically, what kind of cattle do you find mostly around the state of South Carolina, and does it matter what type of cattle you have in a state?
Well, there are probably around 80 breeds of cattle in the United States now. The popular ones are, of course, Black Angus, Charolais, and Hereford. And does it matter? It's a matter of preference. Just like people with automobiles or trucks, they have their favorites. Mine are primarily Angus and Hereford cross. But does it matter? A good cut of beef can come from any of those 80 breeds that are in the United States.
Are we, as a nation, in good shape with cattle supply?
We're down somewhat, mainly in the Midwest, and Texas up through Oklahoma has been affected by the drought, and the numbers in those states are down. But we're probably down in South Carolina about 1%. The other states in the Midwest are a good bit lower than that due to the drought.
Mm-hmm.
But our cattle numbers fairly remain steady.
You have a favorite? You have a favorite cut? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I had my first tomahawk ribeye.
Oh yes.
What's your favorite? And you got any kind of a grilling suggestion, grilling recipe for the folks?
My favorite is a bone-in ribeye with good marbling, and about 30 minutes before I put it on a hot charcoal grill, I use soy sauce and regular black pepper. And there are all kind of grilling recipes on our website for the South Carolina Beef Council,
mm-hmm.
and would encourage anybody that is into grilling hamburgers or steaks to go on our website and pick you a recipe and try it out.
Well, you know what? You can go to SportsTalkSC.com. We've got the digital ad for the Beef Council there. You click on that, it'll take folks right to the website. Very, very simple connection there. Now, I think this is an obvious question, but I'll ask it anyway. I mean, most ranchers in South Carolina, and I'm sure a bunch of them are great sports fans, are they Clemson fans or are they Gamecock fans? Is it possible to be a rancher and be a Gamecock fan, considering Clemson's agricultural background?
Well, our past chair was a graduate of the University of South Carolina. And he is also a livestock auctioneer. But, it makes no difference whatsoever. Carolina, Clemson, South Carolina State, any college that they go to, as long as they're producers, is great news to us.
There you go. A livestock auction. Give us some idea what that sounds like, what it's like to go into one of those.
There is nothing more exciting than a good auctioneer, and I wish I had that gift. We have some great auctioneers in this state. Past chair was Darren Carter. He's one of the best in the state. He has competed nationally. But that auctioneer chant is just something that is music to my ears.
We'll have to get somebody, one of those guys, on the show one night.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please do. I think the public would really enjoy hearing a good auctioneer's chant.
I think so. That'd be great. Well, it has been a pleasure talking with you tonight, John, and continued great success to you and the Beef Council, and keep that herd moving and all of that great stuff. I watch Yellowstone, and I don't know if that is related to South Carolina at all, but those guys on Yellowstone. Are you familiar with the show Yellowstone?
I certainly am. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you kind of sometimes feel like one of those guys?
I'm kind of like with Yellowstone as I am the rodeo. I don't ever pull for the bull riders. I pull for the bull. But what I thoroughly enjoy watching is the treatment and the care that those animals get on TV and how well they look. And that's what we're striving for.
There you go.
Is animals that are well cared for. And as the saying goes, beef is what's for dinner.
There you go, sir. John, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Our pleasure. John Fogle from the South Carolina Beef Council. And we are proud as all get out to have the South Carolina Beef Council associated with Sports Talk. And they sponsor the show. They sponsor our coverage from the stadiums, and we go around and cover ball games. So go to our website, SportsTalkSC.com. You click on their digital ad. It'll take you right to their website, and you can see everything that John was talking about related to cooking the beef and cooking it just right and recipes and stuff like that. I'm hungry now, Chris. I don't know about you. I'm about ready to go chop down on a piece of ribeye.
I am glad that I actually had dinner right before the show, or I would be. I probably wouldn't make the last 15 minutes. How about this though? Off their recipe from their website: maple glazed rib roast with roasted acorn squash.
Yes, that's creative. Creative. That's way out of my league. But I've been looking at their stuff, and I'm gonna start copying some of what they're doing. What you got, Pat?
All I heard was when he said he put soy sauce on his steak.
Yeah.
Never heard of such a thing now.
Yeah.
Worcestershire, come on now.
Well, everybody's got their taste, And he only did it like 45 minutes before he threw it on the grill. I mean, I'm one of those guys that likes to marinate and let it sit overnight and throw it on the grill. But some people maybe less than that.
Well, he's the expert. I'll definitely have to try what he says.
Yeah, absolutely. South Carolina Beef Council, the website, sccattle.org, scattle.org. Or, of course, on our website, just click on their digital ad on the right side. All our digital ads on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, you click on any of them, it will take you to the website of that particular business, Tsunami Bar. Click on that, and you can learn more about them. Founders Federal, Dave and Buster's, One Team, One Cause with David Shelton, South Carolina Education Lottery, South Carolina DNR, Farm Bureau Insurance, all those. Just click on them, take you right to their website. Be right back.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills three major responsibilities. One, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. Two, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Life insurance isn't for you. It's for those you love the most. For a complete insurance review, call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, serving Lawrence, Clinton, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry after that interview. And you know who has great beef? Seawells has great beef. Roast beef Friday. I know their beef is South Carolina grown, South Carolina aged, South Carolina flavored. And you can enjoy the same thing, daily lunch and buffet at Seawells every day, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. Get over there. It's delicious and quite inexpensive, only $13 for a big old plate. So go enjoy yourself. And, of course, very best in the catering business, Seawells as well at 1125 Rosewood Drive. Phone number 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So, offensive lineman DJ Chester, 6'5", 305, McDonough, Georgia, was in Columbia for the USC A&M game. He's had the Gamecocks among his top 15 since late May. Camped there in the summer of 21. Made an unofficial last spring. Visit gave him a chance to watch the Gamecocks in person. Opportunity to sit down with Shane Beamer. Said it went well, really liked the environment. And he said right before they came out, the towels and everybody was going crazy. There was a lady next to the recruiting section, he said, and when they would say, Gamecocks, he said this lady would be screaming, Cox! That's how he said it. He said she was screaming, Cox! He said he had a great time. He also had a chance to talk with offensive analyst Lonnie Teasley, who is coaching the offensive linemen while Greg Atkins recovers from an illness. They like him as a guard or center. And he said, Beamer said they'd love to have him there. It'd be a great place for him. Stuff he hears all the time. And he has an offer from Clemson, continues to hear from Thomas Austin, the line coach there. Not yet been to a game at Clemson this season. His teammate, of course, is Zachariah Owens, who's already committed to Clemson. Now, Chester will take an official in Michigan this weekend. He's already taken officials to Auburn, LSU, and Ole Miss. His fifth visit will be USC, Clemson, or Florida State. No leader right now. He said the family aspect of a program will weigh heavily in his ultimate decision. South Florence quarterback Lenore Sellers said he's not going to Syracuse this Saturday for an unofficial visit as planned. He has been committed to the Orange and has taken an official visit. He was offered by USC last weekend and not sure of any other plans for him right now as far as if he's going to take a visit somewhere else. Okay, you know what? I've just gotten a response from him that he, let's see here. He will reschedule his visit to Syracuse. And I don't have any word yet from him about a visit anywhere this weekend. So just not going to Syracuse. Might be a situation, got to get more details, might be a situation with that big game against West Florence Friday night and then trying to get up to Syracuse for a game on Saturday might be just too much to put together considering the circumstances and everything else going on.
My guess is Drew Marlowe, the head coach of South Florence, wants Lenore's full attention this week.
I would think so.
Not worried about Syracuse football.
Reminder that Clemson target athlete, my son Kelly of Daniel, is going to make his commitment announcement 3 o'clock on Saturday. He was going to do it back on the 14th. He postponed that. Got an offer from Clemson after he decommitted from Virginia Tech. And it looks, very, very good for Clemson now. He's coming off a visit to Clemson last weekend. Monday night, athlete Sudarian Harrison of Woodland said he'd had no contact from USC or Clemson. Then last night, he tweeted he'll visit USC Saturday. So maybe the Gamecocks going to make a move on him. He has offers from Virginia, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Louisville, Virginia Tech. 2024 receiver Caleb Odom, 6'5", 205 of Carrollton, Georgia, was offered by USC tonight. Defensive tackle Elijah Davis of East Mississippi Junior College in Wagner-Salley was offered by Florida, scheduled for his official visit to USC this weekend. And let's see what else we have here that's new. Baseball, 2025 third baseman right-hander Jason Foltz, Harbor Creek, Pennsylvania, committed to Clemson. 2026 shortstop Cameron Jackson of Georgia Premier Academy committed to USC. And in basketball, 2024 Cam Scott is at USC tonight. They're having their preseason basketball event at the Colonial Life Arena, and he is there observing. That'll do it for the Gamecocks. That'll do it for recruiting tonight here on Sports Talk. Be sure to check it out on our website, SportsTalkSC.com.
Hey, excuse me, sir. I will give Lamont Paris a little credit. He's actually putting a dunk contest together as part of that. What is that? Gamecock Madness tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, basketball coaches in the preseason don't want their guys doing something like that, and evidently they are having a dunk contest over there. My guess is if the current players participate, Gigi Jackson will win that.
Would make sense.
Watching replays of him here, excuse me there, Chris, and Gigi thus far has done 3 different variations of a between the legs dunk. Very impressive. I'd recommend folks going and searching out these videos on Twitter, get a glimpse of what's to come this season.
Well, from what's to come is I think they're going to have a pretty good top 7 or 8. After that, it might be a stretch for them. Yeah, well, you got to be careful about injuries and foul difficulty and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think he's going to have a pretty short bench from what I've gathered. I mean, I haven't seen him, but just from what I've been reading from people, that's kind of the feeling I get. All right, and Clemson will do their Rock the John tomorrow night as they open up things for folks to go see some of their basketball players, the men and the women. And then next week we got exhibition games, and the week after that we get the real stuff. Let's go to is Sam with us in Charleston? All right, Sam, welcome into Sports Talk. How you doing, bud? Been a while.
Well, actually, I got some great news to share with you guys.
Great news. Go ahead.
And I got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
So this weekend, I'm going up to Myrtle Beach for the Special Olympics golf tournament.
That's fantastic. Are you playing?
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, sir, I am. I've been playing golf since I was about 1 year old with my grandpa.
Well, that is fantastic. What do you typically shoot?
So I shoot for the driving range first, and then it's a skill competition, and putting, chipping, on the sand, but I missed the ball, so that's okay.
That's all right. We all miss the ball from time to time.
I got another update from you guys from the college. Can I give you some of that?
Yes, go right ahead.
So what I just heard this past week was Coach Kelsey's conference about the block party. I'll let you know that I'm now celebrating my 18th year anniversary with the team.
18. What was that again now?
18 years for the team.
18. This is your 18th anniversary?
Yeah, because if you look at really closely, Phil, I help in the men's basketball team up in Bishop England High School.
Mm-hmm.
We did really well and undefeated. Let's just say our football team is not looking good this year.
No, they've been struggling a little bit.
Well, the thing I want to tell you, a couple of things, is I knew what happened last year because of COVID hit us really hard. I think that's what happened, so I blame on COVID. But I really do think what the problem is now, Phil, is I think it's the NIL deal, because you have early perspective. I really do think my coach named Coach John Canty at Bishop England.
Mm-hmm.
I was not really impressed with him because he has been a great coach when I was in my freshman year. What is your perspective on that?
Well, and thank you for the phone call, Sam. I think Coach Canty's been a fantastic was a fantastic coach. Is that the younger or the older? I mean, there were two Cantys. There was the dad and the son, and the older Canty was a fantastic coach. I think the younger Canty won some state championships down there. So, I mean, I think they're struggling right now, but I mean, in high school, you know how it goes most places. Just depends on your run of players. Sooner or later, you run out of good players.
Yep.
But Sam, good luck in that competition, man. As we say on Friday night, as George Bryan likes to say, tee 'em high, but shoot 'em low. And good luck.
That's good advice.
Tee 'em high, but shoot 'em low. All right, a couple of quick things before we get out of here tonight. Oh, are we getting out of here already? Coastal and Marshall to be televised on the NFL Network.
Yeah. How crazy is that? That's the second straight weekend that the Sun Belt has had a game broadcast on the NFL Network, or second in the last 3 weeks. I keep forgetting about the open date.
Yeah, 7 o'clock kick. Clayton White of USC said nobody from Charlotte has contacted him about that job. His name's been floated out there. And South Carolina sellout against Missouri. Thanks for being with us. See you tomorrow.
Someone will be right with you.